So what's new now, as you saw in the intro here, is I'm gonna set up this in two parts. So the first is setting it up using Drupal, using the AI Interpolator, so you can have an automized workflow. And this might be powerful, for instance, if you have something like a header image that overlays a colored background or something like that, and you want to cut out whatever is in the foreground and overlay this over the background. This is something you could do with this automatic workflow. And then after that, what I will do is also how to set this up then in the Mini Kanban. So the Kanban tool that runs automatic AI agents, where you can just write what you want to do. I will say also, so you know, the Mini Kanban at this stage, when this video is produced, is very experimental. So only people that really want to, you know, play around with it can or should do this. If you want something that's stable, you should use it as in the automatic workflow, because the Kanban is still extremely experimental. So with that being said, this is an extremely easy workflow. We just need one module, which is the AI Interpolator Dreamstudio. So this is based on the DreamStudio API that's used for Stable Diffusion, but it's also based on a lot of it has a lot of extra tools that you can do around Stable Diffusion, and one of this is then removing the background from an image. So if you take an image that has a clear foreground, maybe a person, maybe a cat that we show in this example, it will remove the background and make this transparent, so you only get the foreground back. So that's what we're gonna do. I have already gotten the code, so you can use Composer to get the code and all the dependencies. So I'm just going to start by logging in here on my Drupal website. Go to extend, just search for this Dreamstudio, AI Interpolator Dreamstudio, install this, and then just continue here. It will also then install dependencies, which is the base AI Interpolator module. Then under configuration web services Dreamstudio config, I just need to log into Dreamstudio and look for the API keys that's under your profile, and then you just paste it in here and save. If you're gonna set this up professionally, this is not how you should do it. You should work with a settings file or something like that, so you can try, you know, work with continuous integration, continuous deployment and stuff like that. But this is just for showcasing. If you're gonna try around locally, or if you maybe just have a production server or something, you can do it like this. Then I go to structures, content type, add content type. I'm gonna add one that I call cutout background. And you know, if this was the CMS part of Drupal, all this stuff matters. What I will do in the future, I think I'm gonna add an entity type that's only for the automation part, so you don't have to you know, fiddle around with all this stuff, because the only thing that's actually important when you do the automation is the field API. So if you don't know Drupal, you have to read up about nodes or content types, and you will understand what I just did. And if you're into Drupal, you know what I did. I'm just gonna remove the body field. We don't need the body field. We're gonna reuse, because it comes with an image field, so we're gonna reuse that as the input. I'm gonna set to unlimited, because I want to be able to upload multiple images and get multiple cut images back. Then I am just gonna create a new field here that we call the background free image, and we're gonna do file upload image, and we're gonna click continue here. This should also be unlimited. So if I upload 3 images, you want to also store 3 new images in this field then. So this is always what the AI Interpolator does. It takes one field and does something with the content from that field and puts that in another field. Roughly, that's not always what it does, but roughly that's what it's doing. Just click enable AI Interpolator here. We're going to use Dreamstudio remove background. We want a PNG back. We take base mode. We're going to run the base field we're basing this on is image, so that's where we're going to upload the images, and we're going to get them back in this field then. In this case, we don't chain or do anything that takes a long time, so I'm just gonna save here. And that's basically it. So if we take content, add content, cut out background, my background images, and then I just click browse here. I'm just gonna choose some images there. So I've chosen 3 images. What's important is these images needs to be dividable by 16 in width and height. Otherwise you're gonna get the error message. And this is something that the API requires. I might fix in the future so it automatically fixes the images for this, but let's see. And I'm just clicking save here, and that's basically how you set it up. And now it will hopefully work now, and I'm gonna get 3 images back then without any background. So PNG images instead of JPEG images, and without the floor and the sofa here, for instance, or without the blue background, and here the Audrey Hepburn image without the tapestry in the background. And as soon as that is done, I will show you how to do the same then using the Kanban images. Oh, something failed there. Let's just try that again. I wonder if I did put this in wrong. Try one more time. That worked better. I probably didn't actually paste in the API key correctly. So let's see here then. You get the images back. I can open this in new tab. Well, it's always gonna have a gray background in this case. But you can see that it's working. Wait, we can do this. Photopea is a very good website if you don't have Photoshop. And I will just show you here. So I'm just gonna Google a nice background here. Let me find something that's big enough. Okay, this was maybe not the biggest one, but anyway, I'm just gonna copy him. He's a little bit bigger maybe, but you can see it's actually working. So just rescale him here. So that's it. If you continue watching, I will show you how to set this up in the Kanban board now then. Okay, so now I will show you how to set this up in the Kanban board. And just a note here, this requires that the first part is set up. So the content type has to exist already, like we set it up. Or it doesn't have to be a content type, but the entity type has to exist with this workflow. And then it's very simple to set up. You just go to configuration, workflow, Kanban AI settings, and administrate AI Interpolator worker agents. So this is where you dynamically can set up agents from the AI Interpolator. You see I have some set up here. I'm just gonna click here, add AI Interpolator worker agent. We just call this background remover, and then you just have to write a short explanation that is good enough for a project manager, in this case an AI project manager, to understand what this agent can do, so it knows how to pick this agent and also knows how to pick it in a multi-workflow. So that's a thing that this Kanban board can do that the automatic workflows can't do unless you chain them, is that it can combine multiple mini agents. So if you have a workflow like, you know, something like go to the 10 most popular website about a search topic, put all images into a CSV, use those images in the CSV and remove the background from them.
you could do something like this, and this project manager understands how to split this up in 3 different tasks. No, 4 different tasks in this case. So do a Google search, scrape these websites, extract the images, 5 it is even, produce a CSV, use the CSV to remove the backgrounds, right? And this is what I'm talking about. It's still experimental. It doesn't work 100% of the time. It's a complex thing like that works maybe 50% of the time. So that's why I don't recommend to use it yet, just if you want to try it, right? But simple workflows like what we're gonna set up now, if what you saw in the beginning, where you just remove the background from these three images, that works 100% of the time, because that's such a simple thing to understand. So anyway, we're just gonna explain it here then. This agent removes backgrounds from images and replaces them with transparency in a PNG file, right? Then you just search for the workflow. So we called it cut out background, right? You can say how many retries it has. This depends on how complex it is. I would say in this case maybe we set 2, because DreamStudio API could have issues, for instance, the first time you try something like that, right? You can say if this task should go into review or if it should be done when it's done when it does it. This depends on how complex the workflow is. So if you have a really complex workflow where you take a URL and create a podcast from it, for instance, that's a very complex workflow where it has to go to a URL, scrape it, write a script for the podcast and so on. You might want to set it in review and check it and then redo it, especially if this is going to be part of a bigger epic then where multiple tasks are combined together. In this case, it's such a simple task that you can assume that if an image has been produced, so it doesn't fail, because if it fails, it just goes back into to do and assigns it back to whoever created it. But you can assume if images got created that they will actually solve it. So I'm gonna set it to done. Garbage collect, you can set basically if you want to keep the entity that generated it. This is also much more important when you have complex workflows, because if you have a complex workflow where it does 5 steps, for instance, you can see that, oh, it went wrong on the 3rd step or something like that. But in our case, we don't care. We don't want garbage, so we just remove it right away. So it's just gonna remove all the logging and history of how it generated this. We're gonna keep it enabled. Title, because we're using content types, we have to set a default value. Review background content, but since we remove it anyway, it doesn't really matter, but we have to set something because it's a required value. Image was the thing that we're inputting, so we set this to input, and we just write here the image that we want to remove background from, right? And the output then is the image after the background got replaced. And it's very important then that you set the inputs correctly and the outputs correctly, because if that's not set correctly, nothing will work. You click save, and that's it. Now this is available to ask about this. So it's not more complex than that. So that's it. Thank you for watching.